Right. Before the break, we started a topic that actually, uh, you know, is difficult maybe for many of you to apprehend, mainly because uh, most of you actually, I guess, except a couple of people, the rest, all of you have never worked on software projects, right? Or you haven't actually seen it closely. So that's why it is very difficult for you to apprehend. Look, every field has got its own terminologies and way of working. Okay, and we cannot relate. We cannot relate one industries practices 100% with the other, right? Do you agree to that? For example, let's talk about the sports. There are certain games that are time bound, right? That are time bound. For example, in case of football, hockey, we have like, let's say 2, 3 halves of the game, and let's say 30 minutes for first half and 30 minutes for other. But what about cricket? In that we have overs. Got it? Right? Here, the time may not be a factor. Actually, it's overs. Obviously, those overs have to be delivered in certain time. Then in other games, you might have points. They have nothing to do with the time or overs. In that case, let's say in case of tennis or in case of let's say badminton, you the dynamics are totally different, isn't it? Did you
Yes,
get
yes.
it? Right? Fine. Similarly, like it's a media project, Humayun's there to guide us. Uh, they may talk about, yeah, this actor or this person requires a lot of takes to shoot one scene even. Now, what are these takes, right? So every industry, every project, or they have got their own terminologies, and this is how they work. So in case of software development, look, things are planned this way. The bigger level scope is there in epics or in themes, right? We studied one thing that you should be clear about. That is what is an epic. It's a high level, breakdown of major portions of your software. Is it clear? Like as a layman, you should have this much idea at least that epics is a bigger portion of some similar features
Sir, if we
combined
relate
together
this
under
with WBS, so Epic is the main
yeah,
deliverable.
the main deliverable, right, right, fine, okay. Under that, now here actually the confusion that came in was that under that we studied, or in many books we see that features are there, right?
Yes.
Every epics would contain number of features in that. For example, if the example that we are taking along is that we have to have a campus management system with us, and this campus management system would have several different parts. For example, it would have a learning management system in that. It would have an account or fee payment session, maybe. Actually, this account may also contain not only the fee submission, but also salaries of employees, the payrolls. Similarly, the third part could have the admission process altogether separately written here, right? So all these combined together would give us this project, a campus management system as a complete software. But let's say the LMS is one Apex, or maybe LMS and admission combined together could be an epic, but it would depend upon the size of the work that is there. So let's say LMS is one epic. Within LMS, there would be many features. The related features would be there. For example, a registration of students, allocation of courses to faculty, then let's say marking attendance, uploading assignments and everything. So this would be there. All these features would be there within LMS. Is it clear? Then to complete each feature, we actually, now this is how software industry or software people, they work. They say that, okay, if I have to deliver a feature, the best thing is rather than you know, randomly working on that feature, we say that okay, this feature would be used by whom? By end users, right? This feature would be used by end users, and those end users, when they will be using that feature, they will pass through various steps, or they will have multiple scenarios that they need to deal with. Like we talk about one feature, let's say that was
The
login
login
feature,
details.
login details or login feature, right? So this login feature required what steps? Like I should be able to enter my ID, and I should be able to enter my password. But before that, I need sign up feature, sign up details as well, right? First, I'll sign up, and then I'll be allotted a password and obviously a user ID that would be saved somewhere, let's say in my database. So once a user would enter this correct ID or password, that would be actually compared with this already stored IDs and password, only then it would go to a home page. But what if another user scenario could be when a user enter a wrong password? Then what, right? Similarly, if a user want to change the password, is it clear? So these are multiple scenarios that relate to this login feature only, correct? Is it clear?
Sir, we can say that these are users' requirement.
Actually, user requirement is generally very vague, and it may be at maybe feature level or sometimes epics level, right? Users are not very much clear about the detailed requirements. Look, uh, yes, it could be a requirement if user is very smart and he or she knows that okay, these are the possible scenarios that I might be required to deal with. He or she can convey all these requirements. But generally what they say, the users, they say that okay, I shall be able to log in and it should be password protected. At the most, they only convey this thing. Then it is the team member, because the programming effort that is required. How many of you have done some level of programming at bachelor's level or maybe earlier than that? Basic level
Mm,
programming, I guess, है ना? कुछ C++ तो कुछ किया होगा. You must have uh,
Yes, sir. No, sir.
yes,
generated
sir.
a,
Yes, sir.
Java, C,
okay, a
MATLAB.
MATLAB. Oh, that's good. So
Yes,
table
sir.
of two,
MATLAB.
The
to
chemistry
gen
lab.
right, to generate a table of two, I guess you must have done that programming, no? You need to write a program for everything actually, right? So
Yes,
what they
sir.
do, they write different programs for each of these steps, and then those combines these pieces of programs, they are combined together to deliver this feature. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. But जैसे हमें आप कहते हैं forgot password का ना, तो forgot password तो requirement user ही की है ना.
हाँ हाँ ऐसे ही है, but that's what I'm saying. If you are that much clear, like before I gave you this example, were you
Yes, sir.
able to break down login feature into these many requirements? Obviously no, right? Although
No.
you have been
Yes.
using this feature lot many times on different softwares, different web pages, different login IDs, emails, and everything, but still we take everything. The user takes everything as for granted. They just say, okay, I need a login feature. Okay, fine, you need a login feature, but what it all takes to deliver that login feature for project team, they need to deliver the software, right, at the end of the day, correct? So they will actually shape or translate those features in a way in which programming is done. Is it clear?
Yes.
So for them creating user stories, you know proves to be more effective as compared to generally just broadly saying that I need a login feature. Is it clear?
Okay.
Right? So
Sir.
this is what it is. However, the point that I just wanted to add was that in some books, They say that epics are delivered through, obviously, there are different related user stories combined together that are under the epics, right? And different, we see that, okay, how many user stories are there that combined together can be grouped into one feature, right? They keep feature on one side and they say that this is epic. And under the epic, there are multiple user stories. And similar user stories can be delivered or can be, translated into one feature. They keep this thing on one side. But at the end of the day, it means the same. Kindly mute yourself. Everyone, please mute yourself. Okay. So at the end of the day, if you see, the epics would have multiple user stories, and multiple user stories can be grouped into features. I can also say that epics may have multiple features. That means the same. However, once you'll search on the internet, you would feel, just do this search and you would find that, let me show you some of the diagrams here. Like this is one of the diagrams that you might find on the internet, right? Here, if you are doing an online shopping and there's an app or software or on the web page, we require to create a wish list. What is a wish list? Like if you have used Draz or Amazon or AliExpress or something, you must have seen
Bucket.
that if you keep visiting things and there you want to see that, okay, I've spent 30 minutes now and I have shortlisted various things. I want that next time when I log in or I use this system, I should be able to see things that are there on my wish list, right? So wish list option is there. So here, the theme is placed on the higher side. Under the theme, there's an epic, and under the epic, there are stories. You see, there's no feature here. And somebody may say that, okay, adding a wish list is a feature actually, isn't it? Having a feature of adding items to your wish list is I mean, for some, it could be a feature. Is it
The
clear?
feature, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes,
it is a
sir.
feature. So look, on different softwares, different teams, they may prefer adopting different methods, but you should be clear about one thing, and that is the user stories is the basic unit for that, right? It's all about user stories. For example, just have a look on this now. Epic, as a customer, I want to be able to have wish list so that I can come back to buy products later, right? So this is a Epic. But if you see, as a user, as a customer, or as a user, what all you would require in this Epic? One story. As a customer, I want to be able to save a product in my wish list so that I can view it later again, right? So first thing is to save it, correct? Then as a customer, I want to be able to view my wish list, the wish list that you had saved earlier. Now you want to view that. So this is another story, correct? Similarly, I can or we can add a couple of more stories into it. For example, as a customer, I shall be able to delete items from the already saved wish list. Similarly, another user story could be, as a customer, I shall be able to add new items to the wish list. Correct? Is it clear?
जी
Then
सर सर
there
एक
could
और
be.
सिचुएशन
Mhm.
सर एक और सिचुएशन होती है जिसके अंदर जो अगर आपने अपनी कार्ट में कोई चीज सेव की हुई होती है तो ईमेल जनरेट हो जाती है ऑटोमेटिकली
Exactly. Very right.
जी
Very right,
वो भी
ma'am.
एक
So वो भी एक हो सकता है. Similarly, I need to have a feature that, okay, um, let's say now I want to actually buy that item. So what should I do? Or I need to generate a comparison between the selected products. You see, so they could be, as a user, apparently what users deliver or what users tell to team members, sir, I need to have something as wish list in my, in my in this app or in this on this web. And at the most, they would tell that, sir, I shall be able to review my items or purchase things. That's it. But if you look into detail from programmer's perspective now, they try to envision all the possible scenarios that a customer would actually, want or wish to do. Is it clear? So they will present all these user stories to the customer that look, this is what all you may say the features or all that characteristics or facilities that I need to add. Or do you want something else? As ma'am said, that I need an auto-generated email, right? So that those items are saved somewhere with me. Fine. So if that is the case, I will add that user story too. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Under that, we create different tasks. Now, based on this user story, what is the task of the team? They want to put an add to wish list option or button along with every product, maybe. Correct? Whenever a product item would be there on the web page, there has to be a button with that. And what is that? Add
Wish
to wish
list.
list, right? Similarly, if an item is already added, then delete ka option aa jana chahiye. There should be a button that would like something would be written delete the or exclude it from the wish list. Correct? Then create a new database to store the wish list item. Now this is not there in the user's mind ever. What they has to do with the database? Obviously, they just say that just add. Now, after adding, where it would be stored? Obviously on a database. Is it clear? So this is from programmer's perspective now, based on these requirements, that is adding a wish list. It could be a requirement only. The requirement given by the customer could be adding a wish list, but that requirement is further broken down into smaller requirements, you may say. Is it clear?
जी सर.
Right? So irrespective of the structure, like obviously I'm at least from exam perspective, I'm not going to ask you what is the breakdown or what is the highest level and what is the lowest level. You need to have just a general understanding, like till the time you don't get into this industry, the software development industry, you may not be requiring to use this, but nowadays for larger projects, larger projects, there are a wing or a part of the project that is related to IT. I mean, if a project is there, there would be a portal, right? For a larger project, there would be a web portal for that project, and there would be major announcements there. So, creating this web page would be part of, let's say, uh, maybe a Gwadar Seaport project, isn't it? The chairman's message, the project team's message, the holidays announcement, the progress, the MOU signature and everything. So you would see this one part, like obviously the Gwadar port is a big project and it has nothing to do with the IT maybe. However, at least this web portal would be there. So as a project manager, you should be aware of generic terms that are used in that industry. That's it. Is it clear?
जी
Yes,
सर.
sir.
Okay. Now coming back to this part, product vision at the top level, followed by the roadmap, then the release plan. Obviously, release plans would have multiple iterations. And then within iteration, we prepare a plan for every iteration, obviously. And within iteration, we have different user stories, maybe, or as once user story, two, or maybe three, that we need to complete within one iteration. And then within one iteration, we have multiple tasks. Now, these tasks help helps the team to get the scheduling estimates either in hours or in story points that we'll cover once we'll start the scheduling part. Fine. So this is a general breakdown. Now, our focus right now is scope, defining the scope. So scope is defined at a higher level in product vision. It describes the overarching long-term mission of the product in the form of an aspirational statement that communicate concisely where the product hopes to go and what it hopes to achieve in the long term. Is it clear?
Yes.
So this is
Yes, sir.
in
Yes, sir.
form of a statement, right? So you may say that it is kind of a precise summary of maybe what is there in the business case, some part of the business case in some part of the charter maybe, right? If you
Sir,
want to
product
relate it.
vision is actually what sponsor is requiring, or what is the
Requiring
end
what
product
is the
you would
exactly
desire.
what is the purpose of very right. So now here's an example. Like its format is there. uh, Product vision of Microsoft Surface, like it's their product for the business user who needs to be productive in the office and on the go. The Surface is a convertible tablet that is easy to carry and gives you full computing productivity no matter where you are, right? So this is what it is written there. Unlike laptops, Surface serves you on the go needs without having to carry an extra device. So this is their product, and they have developed this product vision for that. And the general format is for means target customer, and here business users who statement of need or opportunity, and here who needs to be productive, right? And so on. Then the product name, it is there, and is a product category, what kind of product it is that will actually help you in this, or why you should benefit. I mean, why should you should use it. Similarly, a comparison, unlike the primary competitors or alternatives that are there in the market, our product will do this thing. So this product vision is a very high level scope or understanding of the project as a whole. For example, if I try to relate it with construction project, in that case, what it would be. I want to have a house of my own so that I may not be requiring to pay the rents and I have a safe, healthy, let's say, environment for my kids in future or something like that. If at all you want to convert, I mean, you want to visualize a product vision statement in predictive life cycles, how it would look like. So this is the main thing. This is this could be an example, but this is again a forcefully generated example. The dynamics of both the predictive software development and construction development projects are totally different, right? But still you can just relate something. You can create a symbolic similarity between these two. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
सर वैसे
Okay.
प्रोडक्ट विजन को जस्ट समझने के लिए आप परफॉर्मेंस बेसलाइन भी कह सकते हैं ना?
खुदा के लिए बिल्कुल नहीं कह सकते
सर
-1।
क्यों? देखिए परफॉर्मेंस बेसलाइन में
मतलब
ये होती है ना कि आपका जो आपका एक्सपेक्टेड होता है सारा कुछ, आपके आपने एक्सपेक्ट किया होता है जो कि जी ये एंड
but
रिजल्ट होगा, ये होगा।
sir, you're right. We haven't talked about the cost. We haven't talked about the schedule. We haven't talked about the quality. Your performance is measured against that, right?
हाँ,
That is
कॉस्ट भी होती
just,
है। आप
so
सही
it
कह
is not, we haven't mentioned, it is just a high level. You may say this is what we have to
हाई लेवल
deliver
स्कोप।
actually. High level scope or the high level success criteria at the
एग्रीड
most.
एग्रीड।
Okay, so now in case of product roadmap, it is a visual depiction of the product releases and the main components that will be included. Like we said that in the first 6 months, we will be delivering this part, in the next 6 months, we'll be delivering this part, and so on. So here, this is a roadmap for the web team in January, Feb, and March. Again, as I said, this is scheduling related things, and we'll study it again once we'll study the scheduling, right? So web team has to do these 2 3 things in these 3 months, and then web team would start this thing in next. So this is milestone level planning. Similarly,
सर
mobile mockup, just
सर जो प्रोडक्ट रोड मैप है, इफ यू लेट मी गिव वन एग्जांपल
hmm
सर, जैसे यूनिवर्सिटी में मॉस्क बन रही है,
hmm
तो नॉट मॉस्क में अगर स्टूडेंट स्पोर्ट्स सेंटर की जो बिल्डिंग बन रही है, वो इस
hmm
तरह हो सकता है कि जो पहला फ्लोर है वो उन्होंने स्टूडेंट सपोर्ट सेंटर को दे दिया हो, जो दूसरा है
correct,
वो जो वो जो हेल्थ केयर सेंटर है उसको फिर देना हो बाद
Exactly.
में, तो ये
Exactly. So
माइलस्टोन वो अचीव
this is,
कर रहे हैं,
yeah,
that's the
exactly.
product.
Very right. So this is actually the milestone planning, right? That within 6 months we shall be able
Yes,
to actually complete one floor, and this would be used by so and so user, right? So
yes, sir.
it's similar to that. Very right. So this is basically again a high level planning tool that gives you a broader structure, or different phases of the project, right? Okay. Then comes the product backlog. Now this is the thing from where you actually start working with. This is a single visible master list of all the functional and non-functional work identified for the project. Now, what do you think? Which document this is equivalent to that you have already studied?
सर या तो बिजनेस केस होगा या बेनिफिट
Mhm.
मैनेजमेंट प्लान, दोनों में से कोई एक
Anybody
है।
else? Anybody else? Please try this.
सर सवाल दोबारा पूछिए।
The project document.
Project document. No, project documents are there many project documents. Just name one of the document.
फंक्शनल दोनों है तो ये वो है
Sir, repeat your question.
प्रोजेक्ट लाइफ साइकिल।
Okay, look.
Sir,
I'm
repeat
सर
asking.
your
लेसन
question.
होगा ना
Okay, wait.
नहीं सर,
First,
ये वो
एक
साइकिल
मिनट,
है
everybody,
जिसमें आपने कहा था
please.
फंक्शनल नॉन फंक्शनल दोनों होते हैं।
Okay. That is the document which contains functional, non-functional, that contains both the scopes, the product scope and the project scope. Do you remember
प्रोजेक्ट
that?
सर
What
दैट
is
इज द
that? That is
प्रोजेक्ट वाला।
scope statement. That is the scope statement. Some of you said scope and then went quiet. I don't know why. Okay. I was expecting that answer, right? A scope statement contains all the functional and non-functional requirements. Isn't it the case? Right? So this is equivalent to that in some way. It is a list of work that needs to be done, and items are removed from the list as they are completed, right? However, this list is prioritized list. Like whatever requirements or features we have identified, we try to write down those here according to the requirements. Like these are the requirements that we need to meet. Is it clear? So we will have all these requirement prioritized. The first priority, highest priority requirements would be on the top, and the lowest priority items would be at the bottom. So now this is my product backlog. From this, I would say that during the first release, this is my first release, right? I may say that, okay, during this release, I need to deliver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 requirements, right? So this is my release 1. Is it clear? So within release 1, there would be, let's say there are 3 iterations, I1, I2, and I3, right? Now, within each iteration, we pick some of the items or requirements here, and we start working on that. Now, this would be an iteration backlog, correct? Once this iteration is completed, here we will have a retrospective in which we'll call the customer and the team members and the stakeholders. They would discuss, okay, this is what you wanted based on the requirements that you gave me. Now, this is what I have come up with. It could be just a list. It could be just a diagram. It could be a functional piece if it is incremental or something, right? So it would be something that I will discuss with the customer. And here, the customer may say, oh, no, I don't need this at all. But please add these 2, 3 more features. So according to the priority, again, I will add those items in the backlog, and I will delete the items from the backlog based on this feedback. Then I'll pick some items for the next iteration. That, okay, these are the 4 things that I need to produce during next iteration. And then I tell the customer, now let me do some work. I'll come back to you and we'll meet again after 10 days. After 10 days, again, you present something. This way, you see, your backlog would be all the time being updated according to the changing requirement. Is it clear to everyone?
Sir, now it's clear.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, so it is not a fixed scope statement as was the case in predictive lifecycle. This keeps changing, and we call it the refining or grooming of the backlog, right? The term that is used for these changes or updates, we say this is refining or grooming of the backlog. Is it clear? This is
It is
often done.
iterative.
It is iterative, obviously, right? So the backlog is organized by priority from top to down. So the highest value items or stories are always kept at the top, which informs the development team where to focus their attention on. So while the product backlog contains all the formally recognized scope, low priority items, sometimes they may never be developed, right? This is also possible that during, I'm sorry, very bad color here. So let's say during the course of the project, there might be some, in the beginning, because requirements are very vague. So there could be some items here down below. They might not be ever developed like this. Only these requirements and the changes that had been incorporated in these requirements, after maybe 1 year, the customer may say, okay, now this is good enough a thing. This is what I actually wanted. And I'm already short of the time and money maybe. So I don't need these things. We'll see sometime, like maybe other time. If required, I'll look into these features. So sometimes a low priority backlog item may never be included in the project. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? If this only these requirements at the end of the day give me a comprehensive solution, I may not be interested in the extra items that are there. Okay, so backlog items may
Sir,
be
we can
tagged.
say backlog as uncompleted work.
Sorry, ma'am, please come again.
सर हम बैकलॉग को अनकम्प्लीटेड
हाँ,
वर्क
वैसे
भी
तो
कह सकते
backlog means uncompleted work, right? So we put all the items. ये बंद रखिएगा. It's kind of a kindly mute कर लें. It's kind of a to-do list, right? It's kind of a to-do list. Fine. Checklist kind of, yeah, this is the things, but it would be refined. But look, if you remember, in the product roadmap, we decided certain things. In the release plans, we decided certain things. And now, in every iteration, things are changing. So what does it mean? Sometimes we need to go back and change the roadmap as well, because this is iterative. This is what the adaptive approaches are meant for, isn't it? So if the requirements are changing, obviously I may need to revise my higher plans as well. Correct? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, if you see, the product backlog and product roadmap work together to help the team plan the project, where the backlog as a tool that guides the work of the development team, while the product roadmap is more of a plan how to produce, how the product will grow actually. That is timeline that, okay, first we'll do this and then so on. But both the tools will influence each other, right? Obviously. Any changes in the priorities or requirements in the backlog will change the roadmap. And any changes in the roadmap would affect the backlog, the priority of the items that are there in the backlog, isn't it? If customers say that, okay, no, I want this thing, whatever is here, I want this to be produced first. So all the items in the backlog that are related to this release plan or this roadmap plan, they will come on the top and the other will go down. Correct? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is both way. Sometimes
Yes, sir.
changes in the product backlog will change my product roadmap. And sometimes changes in the product roadmap will change my product backlog. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is about like this topic that was about defining the scope. In predictive lifecycle, we studied that there would be, as a result of this defining scope process, we will get a scope statement. And here we are saying that as a result of defining scope process, we will have a product backlog, correct? Then
Yes,
after
sir.
the scope statement, what do we do next? Once we have a scope statement, then what do we do next? We break down,
WBS.
yeah, we create a WBS and break down that scope statement into smaller pieces. And here, the high level themes
Smaller
or
chunks.
epics, they are decomposed into features, right? And then features are then further decomposed into user stories, correct? And then below that are the tasks. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So now
Yes.
here,
WBS dictionary.
no, it's not like that. Now here, the task and everything would be equivalent to WBS dictionary. That within a
यही कह रहा
user
था सर.
story.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, 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 sir. मिल जाएगा number बेफिक्र. Okay,
For decomposition.
okay. Now, here are different definitions or details about whatever I have said earlier. It's all written here, but still, I'll just quickly go through it so that you can just sum up things. Now, Apex is a useful placeholder for large requirements. Now, you see, Apex would contain large requirements that won't fit into a single sprint. So they are broken into more user stories and subsequently group of tasks. Epics are usually defined during the initial product roadmap and decomposed into user stories, right? So now epics are then delivered in releases. Small user stories from different epics may have something in common. Such a group of user stories is called a theme. So in this case, epics or themes are almost at the same level, correct? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Either
clear,
it
sir.
would be an epics or it would be a theme that would be broken down into, let's say, feature, and then
Features.
a user story,
User story.
and then
Then
user
task.
stories have task. Just remember this thing. So now a theme provides a convenient way to indicate that a set of related epics have something in common, correct? So next, the decomposed stories in an epic have common objective and a specific outcome or high level user need or part of a journey or process someone takes. You know, the user stories combined together, some of the group of user stories combined together, they will serve some purpose, right? And that's what we were calling as a feature, right? Different user stories combined together will be served through a feature. Now, user stories are the smallest units and so on. User stories should deliver a part of the functionality in blah, blah, blah. Now, here is one example. Let's say this is an epic. Allow the customer to manage its account via web. Now, this is a web page of a bank, maybe, and there is an epic that allow the customer to manage its own account via the web. And one of the features, obviously, this page would require, there could be many others, but one of the features is there. It may be editing the customer information via the web portal, right? So this is one thing. Now, this feature might be used by the customer or the account holder, him or herself. This feature might be used by the banker or bank clerk, right? This feature might be used by maybe some regulatory authority to check your statements and, to evaluate your income tax or something.
Or a
So
school
this,
teacher.
yeah. Okay, now user story could be if one of the user is bank clerk. So as a bank clerk, this user would want to be able to modify the customer information. Let's say the changes in the address, correct? Or changes in the PIN code or something. Now, so that I can keep it up to date here, here the mainly thing is, let's say the changes in the so permanent address or the office address or the postal address or something. So this is one of the user stories that would be there under this feature. Obviously, as a customer or as an account holder, there would be a couple of other stories or many other stories, user stories. Is it clear? So these user stories combined together will be covered by this feature, and there would be many features that would be there in this epic. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is
Yes,
the
sir.
example that we have already covered. That is wish list and everything. So with this, we have covered the scope management knowledge area. Now, I want to spend about, okay, these are the, like, you are very scared about these extra slides that come after the thank you part. Look, uh, these are the tools that some of you might be needing, right? So that's why I put it there. If you don't need them, please don't use them. Even you may not even think of reading them, but these are very useful tools. As a project management professional, I can tell you, um, these are important tools, right? But obviously, the scope of this course, doesn't allow me to go into details of this, and obviously, you don't have that much motivation as well. So I've just added those. If you want to see anything, if you want to see anything in more detail, you can go there. So I'm just closing this now, and I'm opening it here.
सर मेरा सवाल मैंने वो 5 मिनट चाहिए थे मैंने आपसे
Sir,
कहा
वो
था
5 मिनट ही लेंगे अभी. We still have 20 minutes, right? Sir, just give me 5 minutes to sum up everything, so that you get to know the bigger picture. I have one request from all of you. If you want to understand this project management, you are studying different courses. Till the time you won't understand this all what is written here, you may not be able to relate everything that you are studying right from your first semester. I'm emphasizing on this. You know, even knowing each of this knowledge areas alone, like in isolation, is not enough. If you want to understand how these things or these individual pieces or knowledge areas work jointly together to have, to successfully manage the project, for that, you need to understand this relationship. Is it clear?
Sir, it's clear.
Okay, so when a project is initiated, the first thing that we do, obviously, to initiate a project, we require a charter. And we also need to identify the stakeholders. These are the only two processes that are there in this. Correct? Next, we start off with the planning, and this is the detailed upfront planning. Here we want to prepare a plan, and this plan will have many like subsidy plans and baselines and other things. And then there's the scope management part that we have already covered. This is scope management planning altogether. Then comes the scheduling planning. Then comes the cost planning and so on. Correct? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
I have I have
Yes.
intentionally I have intentionally
project
added
management plan
lot of content in project scope management. There's a logical reason behind that. And what is that? Look, schedule management we'll study in detail in maybe over 6 weeks or 7 weeks, right? 6 to 7 weeks will cover everything that is there in the schedule management. Correct? Similarly, cost
सर
management
जिस
processes.
तरह स्कोप में हम लोगों के पास प्रेडिक्टिव के लिए हमारा स्कोप मैनेजमेंट प्लान अलग था और एजाइल के लिए अलग था, इस तरह स्केड्यूल में भी
हाँ,
फॉर
schedule में भी हम पढ़ेंगे.
प्रेडिक्टिव अच्छा
Exactly.
दोनों को ही कंपैरिजन.
दोनों को करेंगे, right? Similarly, cost is there, right? So cost you have already studied in your first semester. The quality management, this you'll study in your third semester. Resource management and communication, you have already studied, and I guess stakeholder as well. HR communication, right? Risk management, you are
Yes, sir.
studying now.
जी सर करा.
Procurement
Yes,
management,
sir.
you are also studying. So you see, scope management is not covered in any of the subjects except MEC. There's a part in MEC in which you'll cover the scope. But this scope planning is not covered in anything. That's why, I went into this depth. So your midterm exam
Sir,
would
also
contain,
scope
sir,
management also is very important because of it is a high level scope is in project charter as well, and then the detailed one if it is obviously
obviously,
predictive, तो
all,
वो
all, all
project
you,
management plan में भी होता है.
all your work is is dependent upon what you are going to create. If you don't know your
Sir,
scope, obviously you cannot plan anything else.
इवन अगर आप 90% भी करते हैं उसको और आप
Hmm,
10% की लेवरेज अगर उसमें छोड़ते हैं तो वो भी एवरी टाइम आप स्कोप को अपडेट करते रहते हैं अगर
update
वो
करते हैं.
इटरेटिव है तो
ऐसे ही.
उसी के हिसाब से आप काम करते हैं.
Very right, sir. So now our next lecture, that would be after mids, obviously, it would be about project schedule management. I will only spend 15 minutes on that, lecture 9, just to give you an idea that, okay, after once a scope is created, then what? That means the WBS is created. Then what next? This is my WBS, right? So what next? Obviously, I'll define the activities. sequence the activities. Like I'll spend 15 minutes because from lecture 10 or 11 onward, I have to cover all these processes individually one by one. So I'll just give you an overview. Then we'll have a quick revision of cost planning. This we have already studied in first semester. Then I'll spend some good maybe 1.5 hours on quality so that you have some idea about project quality management. Clear?
Sure,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then it would be obviously followed by, the rest of the planning processes, your risk planning, procurement planning, stakeholder communication, HR, like most of things you have already studied or you are studying now. So that would be just an an overview of things so that you get a bigger picture of things, so that you have clear idea that okay, this is how planning is done. So our course has two parts: project planning and schedule management, obviously time and schedule management. So we'll cover the schedule management from lecture maybe 10 or 11, I'm not sure how much time it would take, but 10 or 11, after lecture 10 or 11, the rest of the lectures would be addressing the schedule management part. Correct, Ji? So now,
Yes,
Hamayu,
sir.
over to you. If you have, let me stop the recording.
यस सर. सर एक चीज एक रिक्वेस्ट करनी है.
Sir,
जी
uh,
मैम.